Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series on the internet where we have just as consistent of an upload schedule as JonTron. And for doing that, the gods of hentai love to punish me by creating more of these episodes of this accursed series. Now, I'm doing the exact same thing that I normally do for these, where I go into it completely blind by saying, hey, if just general sort of stuff like that. And then I actually go in and watch and then show you the difference between what I'm doing right now and how I look. That's why I'm not in my duds and getup. I'll get into my lab coat when I'm good and versed in what I've been done. So, I gotta do the typical YouTuber stuff because I know it sounds cheesy, but it fucking works. I'm not kidding. Like I said in my last episode, or my last video, thank you all for being here. I appreciate the hell out of you. And if you're new to the series or you want to see more of these, well, this is a channel, so you can go and look through them. And if you want to watch more, or as they come out, subscribe, and you don't have to do anything past that. If you have something to say, some criticism, some constructive words to help out, or just you want to say hi or tell me I'm doing a good job, bad job, you like something you see in the background, whatever. Subscribe, comment if you want. You don't need to like the video if you don't want to. If you do like it, that's okay with me. So, I'm going into this flat-minded and ready to see what happens. I'm pretty sure this is episode 6, if I'm correct. So, let's see how bad it'll be. And yes, I continuously put off that episode of Kimikasuki because I remember the original episode and I don't want to do that one, but I gotta. So, until I return after this, which should be in about 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and future me. And we're back. And we're just a little bit more well-dressed and a little bit more surprised by how... I gotta say, so far the first few episodes were the darkest, but this one is starting to climb back up that hill because it got pretty mean-spirited. Not necessarily the worst it's been, but this is karmic horrible, where the other few episodes were bad, but this one I feel less bad for. I don't know if that's just me going numb with how many fucking breaks I keep taking, then yeah, I'm gonna feel a little less numb to it. But let's go ahead and get into the synopsis, why don't we? This is Redo of a Healer, episode 6, done by our friends over at TNK. I'm gonna be honest, I completely forgot to look at the actual group, and I may be fucking that up. If you watch any of my other reviews for the episodes, then go with them, because we're 6 episodes in. You know who it's made by. I don't need to have to keep doing this. 24 minutes and 6 seconds long. It begins with all the characters eating a meal and the new girl, well, Kuraha, getting a little clingy with Kiaru, while the other two decide, like, hey, that's a little weird. Kind of like that jealous new girl hentai that jealous new girl harem sort of protagonist thing, where it's like, why does the new girl get all the attention? Like, because I ain't seen this one before. But regardless, then the platoon from the last episode rolls up with an entire squadron of people, all bound in chains, with one of them, presumably the captain, aka, I wrote his name down somewhere, Renard, screaming about how he wants the healer to show up or he's going to kill every single one of them. In which case, it cuts to the OP, which, the more I listen to it, the more I realize that, yeah, it is pretty generic, but there's something, like, fun generic about it. I haven't skipped the OP this entire time, so I don't know if that's a good thing, or maybe it's just because it's so generic that I don't notice it's there. But regardless, let's go ahead and get past that. Kuraha goes to investigate, and it shows Renard, the captain, who has been disguised as Kiaru the entire time, has lost it a bit by seeing himself as the whole place was burning, and then that same burning rod that you saw beforehand, he burned his eye with it, and now he's got the whole, like, Zuko, but not nearly as handsome thing going on. It then kicks into Kiaru disguising himself as a former soldier that he probably killed because, Jesus Christ, this guy has a body count. And tricks a guard into revealing a little bit more secrets by saying, like, hey, we haven't seen each other in forever. I really want to get back into being a guard, but I also want to know what's going on. And then that guard who's been tricked describes all the horrible things that they have done, because clearly these are things you want to share openly and not bury deep down so that you go to hell, and you do it quietly. So, after doing so, he decides to, you know what, I'm going to call out the captain the exact way that I should. Good. He tricks one of the guards into meeting him there. So he's still disguised as in the old man. Reynard and all the other guys come in, and then he changes his face to look more like himself. In which case he realizes, hey, you ever noticed why the air isn't clear? He's like, oh yeah, neurotoxin. They all start to pass out, except for Reynard, who is just kind of like barely holding on. In which case, he heals him by like grabbing his face, doing something, and sees all the horrible stuff that he's done in his life, including the fact that Reynard violated Kiaru's adopted mother, and they spend a little bit of time on it. They don't spend nearly as much time on all the other horrible shit that's happened, but damn, this was just a bit too long. After seeing that he's done that, it goes to Reynard passing out and waking back up, but he wakes up in a bit more of a female form. Yeah, he's got everything. And that shows a relatively large bulge in his pants. So he gender swapped him? Mostly. So that's a weird detail to just, like, leave there. Like, don't worry, you're a girl now, but you get to keep the penis. I'm not that bad of a person. Like, okay. After gender swapping the guard, he has a bunch of guys violate her. And it's pretty fucked up, because I can only assume those guys are the brainwashed guards, and it gets dark. It shows him like holding a lantern, dropping it, and the whole building sets on fire, so I assume not only is he violated by his own guards in a female state that he didn't want, but he also burned to death the entire time, and holy fuck, I've read the Watchmen comics. It doesn't get that dark. It gets that dark once, but it only gets half that dark. But I don't feel too bad about this one, because I kind of feel like I'm going to break character for a little bit. I 100% believe in an eye for an eye, just so you both know the pain that you've suffered, but I don't think that works for rape. That's a little fucked up. I think rape deserves murder, not the exact same thing, but a gangbang and then murder. Holy fuck. That's just... But then again, he was pretty proud of what he had done, so I don't feel bad. Going back into character. Alright, now let's continue on now that I've summarized the horrible bit. He then breaks into where Anne is being kept, his adopted mother, and kills almost every single one of the guards, finally making his way to Anne, who is alone by herself because she got picked out. Now, runs to her, and she dies right there, anime style, like passing out, dead. And he tries to heal her, but then heal, nothing happens. In which case, it shows him back at his area with only Setsuna and Flare, or Freya. Both of them there saying that, hey, we really want to make you feel better about this whole thing. And then he sad fucks both of them. And I kind of made it a little bit of a joke, but then he actually starts crying, and I'm like, alright, I'm going to leave this one alone. So that's the first scene of the whole thing, at 12 minutes and 15 seconds all the way to 13 minutes and 25 seconds, about a minute and 10 seconds overall. It then cuts to the living princess. I wrote her name down somewhere. Norn. Norn. To her, who is into weird BDSM by beating and kicking a dude in a gimp costume. Kiaru plans what he's going to do next because the rest of his village is going to be in a coliseum where they're going to be executed. And is reminded of Norn's crazy shit. Like the part where he originally got like unhappily hugged by all the sword saint, the gun saint, whatever the fuck. And then he's just sitting there in a tent by himself. Norn walks in, says, "I know you're still lucid. You're not drugged out." Now, he says, "Well, how do you know that?" He's like, "I don't," and she says, "I don't care what you're doing. I just want you to keep an eye on her because she has secrets that I want to know." He's like, "What do you want me to do so that you don't tell anybody?" And she just asks, "I want you to do to me what you did to her," which is, I gotta say, that's not the worst deal, because he just kind of kicks into scene number 2 with his mouth, and that's it. Running from 19 minutes and 15 seconds to 19 minutes and 40 seconds. I gotta say, let's just say eating out isn't the worst thing that he's ever done. This is a pretty good deal. But he is relatively scared of her for how smart she is and how she picked up on her. But nonetheless, it then moves on. It shows the people who are in the guards holding all the members of his group who have been enslaved, and says, "Hey, if you don't come out, I'm going to kill all of them. And I want you to come out so I don't have to." Alright, you're not coming out? Fine, I'll kill them all. 3, and then he pops out and says, "Hey, I'm here," which is, I honestly didn't expect. But that is where the episode ends, unfortunately. Overall, this is getting relatively interesting. Like, I actually want to know what's going on. It's kicking back up in the darkness department, but I actually am invested in the story at this point. It's a messed up fucking story that I don't want to be a part of, but it is a story that I have gotten this far into. And as of recording this, a lot of goddamn episodes have been added to h'anime.tv, if you want to find the sources of where I'm finding all these things. A lot of the episodes have been added on there, and god damn it, I don't want to. I'm going to break this up by like doing another video on another series like I normally have, and then going back to this. But this is going to be a series that runs for a while, and I've dug myself into my own grave. So if you don't mind, I'm going to get back on the grindstone because I have been taking too many damn days off, and I'm going to make sure that I can do the best that I can do, now that I have a little bit better equipment to work with me. So, until next time, thank you for all being here. Have a nice day, don't be a dick, there's too many of them, and wash your fucking hands. I have been the Doctor. Peace.